Very much, and thank you for putting this together, and happy belated birthday, Stadium. I think that this is an amazing event, and we need more of this to happen, and we need candidates who respect you enough to show up and debate. So I'm a father, a grandfather, and a Christian. I started a business after a successful wrestling career, and started it with a financial software company that won national recognition and one of only 100 companies to make the Inc. 500 list 4 times. So a remarkable success in the business world, and at one point in time was worth close to $100 million. Now you might think, okay, he's bragging about money, but I'm also bragging about not having money as well, because we gave a lot of that money away, most of that money away, and I've learned something through that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, that I know what it means to have money and to not have money. So after that, I did work with the opioid crisis. I started Inspiration Academy, that is a school in West Bradenton, one of only 10 in the history of our accredited body to receive as many commendations as we did. And then I found out something in the beginning, during COVID. I found out that, wow, somebody's got to step up and fight against the tyranny that was happening during COVID. So they came and basically tried to shut us down with mask mandates, and there was all kinds of pressure from the county, and we needed somebody that was going to stand up and fight against that tyranny. And that's what I did. I didn't realize that it was in me, but all of a sudden when you find out that somebody's trying to push lies on you and try to enforce tyranny against you and the people in your school, you've got to stand up and fight. So that's what we did. We fought against the tyranny, and I'm excited to tell you guys more. So thank you for your time.
30 seconds, Ed.
I'm just trying to maximize my time. If you don't have a big budget, you got to do everything you can to get your message across. And I'm the largest grassroots candidate for Republican history in Florida by the number of petitions that were signed. So please understand, I'm willing to do the hard work, and I was able, by God's grace, to get 40% of the vote against an incumbent last time around. We were able to take down the developers and people like Anthony Pedicini during the last election. Please ask him that.
District is experiencing rapid growth. What is the single most important issue facing our district today? And what specific action would you take in your first year in Congress to address it?
I love the comments about environment. I hope we can get back to the environment, but to answer the question directly, this button says we're under control by the developers and by the campaign finance reforms that need to take place. The first thing that I would do is campaign finance reform. Make sure that people understand where the money is going, so that we can see that it's Pat Neal that's paying for city recruiters for their fundraisers, and this is what's happening, causing all this overdevelopment. And there's something called land use arbitrage, and I'm trying to educate people on this as much as I possibly can. So what ends up happening is they depress prices. It's intentional. They're depressing prices so developers can snatch up farmland, and then all they have to do is, if they have the county commissioners with a stroke of a pen, they take something that was $3,000 an acre, and now it's $50,000 an acre. This is happening. As a matter of fact, it just happened yesterday at the Board of County Commissioners meeting here in Manatee County. They stroked a pen and gave back impact fees to the tune of $2.5 million to developers. This is happening right in front of us, and we need to recognize this, and we need to be able to trace this back to the people that are caught. And I'd like to see politicians with bumper stickers like NASCAR, so we can see who's paid for it. And we need that. We need to push for reform, campaign finance reform, while we look at overturning Citizens United. That's a longer fight. Thank you. Just be real quick, because if I'm allowed.
20 seconds.
Fair enough. Somebody mentioned the takeover in Manatee County. We need to recognize who was a major architect of that takeover, and that was me calling out the corruption and saying that people like Anthony Pedicini have to get out of here. And that's exactly what we did, and we informed the citizens of the corruption that was happening. and now he's gone. And now other people are looking at Manatee County as the model to follow.
Thank you.
Reject the premise of the question in the first place, respectfully. It's setting up, the question itself sets up government to be the solution provider. And government is not the solution. If there's anything we learned, the 9 scariest words is I'm with the government and I'm here to help. So we need to avoid falling into that trap. I have an economic plan. It's on my website under the blog section, and Washington talks about cutting spending and shrinking government while doing the exact opposite. We've got a problem, and it's called inflation. $2 trillion just this year of inflation. That's the hidden tax that is crippling Floridians. And that is the problem that affects healthcare, affects groceries, affects everything. So first, we need to ban omnibus bills entirely, one subject per bill. We need single-item bills, no more hiding wasteful pet projects inside a bill that funds troops, or every dollar needs to stand on its own and get its own vote, so that members of Congress can go back home and defend their votes. That will change how much spending is happening in Congress. Hold them accountable. Second, we need to break up the big tech monopolies the same way we broke up Mont Bell in 1982. That big breakup gave us cheaper phones and an explosion of innovation. That will be an explosion of small business. These platforms need to interoperate, and interoperability is something that Congress can actually do, create interoperability standards. I give the example of your cell phone. How in the world do we have so many problems with just texting with Android and Apple phones? This is a simple solution that Congress refuses to deal with because there's monopolies that are at play. This is a simple solution, and interoperability standards is going to allow small businesses to just completely take off, American ingenuity to thrive. Third, we need to fix the H-1B before it costs one more American their career. We need a real wage floor, cut the cap, and force companies to prove that they actually tried to hire an American first instead of checking a box that verifies nobody. Let's just start with the Department of Education. I run a school, and I can tell you the Department of Education has done nothing for me, nothing for the school, in my opinion, darn near nothing for this state. So please tell me what they're doing. There's certain programs, certainly, but I believe in the doctrine of the lesser magistrate, which is a Christian principle that says basically that the best decision making is the most local decision making. So when it comes to education, it's parents first, and then the teacher, and then staff and administration, and then the county. We can handle this. We don't need to be spending millions and billions of dollars on something that isn't benefiting us. The rest of the Doge, I just want to remind everybody that inflation is the hidden tax. $2 trillion in debt. It's a national security issue. It's a major issue, and we've got to make cuts. And so I don't have the specifics on all of these departments, but I can tell you, USA, I know that there was somebody saying that USA, that's filled with all kinds of corruption and it needs to be cut. It's a big problem for sure. And there's a lot of other organizations, so I think more cuts need to be made rather than just talking about cuts, so that we stop burdening Floridians and taxpayers with this hidden tax just by printing money. You don't even realize this, that they just print money, and next thing you know, this dollar doesn't go as far as it used to go. $2 trillion. It's a massive issue, and it affects everything. Thank you.
Go ahead, Glenn. If you have a question, I'll be back to you.
I did not mention any candidate by name. You're very handsome. Yes.
Man, is that I check my faith at the door, and that I can't teach what is so critically important to so many people. So we decided, as a private institution, to hold on to what parents want. They want their students, they want their kids to have faith and be integrated. So just that in and of itself, faith is a critical aspect, and the Department of Education hasn't done anything to help me with, help our school with that. The one thing that I do want to say is, who here has actually fought against the corruption? Who calls out Joe Reuters and James Buchanan for putting together a storm shelter for $10 million for Benderson? Who has actually won and kicked them out of Manatee County? Who has actually put up a fight? And I know somebody over there, I'm not going to say his name, is raising his hand, but I don't think he's put up the same kind of fight that we put up here and the success that we had. Go ahead and sit down. Sit down. Go ahead. America First Initiative and puts us in an untenable position of being the world's cops all the time. And so there are cuts that need to be made, but...
Thank you, Randy.
Yeah. We've got, you talked about due process. Due process is provided to American citizens. And if somebody is here illegally, then they need to be removed. I went to the border 3 years ago. I went to the border and I saw what was happening. There's, between Iran, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, there is a jihad against Americans and against our country. So, and you can look at the videos if you don't believe me. They are there, and 20 to 30%, the sheriffs in Arizona and Texas told me 20 to 30% were intent on jihad when they came across. Now, under the Biden administration, that was $15 million people. So you're looking at about 2 to 3 million people who came over here with the intention of jihad. Now, if there's some certain bad actors within ICE, we need to deal with that. But there's still a mandate to follow the law and to be a law-abiding country. And people that come here need to respect those laws. And then if they don't, we need to have these decisions. And look, if you don't like the way ICE is doing it, that's one thing, but we've got to respect the mandate that's been given to them by this government and by the Constitution and our founding fathers, which recognizes what citizenship is all about.
Create a sovereign wealth fund, the purpose of which is to reduce our tax burden. The initiative involves the government taking stakes in critical technology, quantum computing, and critical mineral companies. Do you favor this initiative?
No, I don't. Look, this is part of the AI data center push, and it's a big problem, and we need to recognize what's happening with the AI data centers. This is actually a consolidation. This is the exact opposite. This is not a national security issue. That's what's being pushed right now. Byron Donaldson, I guarantee you, city leaders would push this same false premise for national security. And I'm going to try to explain this because I come from technology. You need to understand that we had mainframes and then distributed computing changed everything. There was an unleashing of technology. And now what we're looking at doing is creating more monopolies and more control, and this push towards a surveillance state that's very dangerous for everybody. It's actually pushing for an actual monopoly, and that's not a national security issue. That's a huge problem, and it's doing the exact opposite. American ingenuity, by what I was describing earlier, of pushing and monopolistic practices to make sure that these companies are creating interoperability standards so that other artificial intelligence companies can step into the race. That's going to change things. So this idea that this is a national security threat, that we need to sacrifice our land and our water and this land use arbitrage, that is just a part of an overall canard, that's going to end up being affordable housing, and that's going to be the solution. So I don't believe affordable housing either. That's a big problem because all it means is higher density and more profits, and we're creating a bubble here in Florida. And so this is all a part of this entire push. So technically, it does not make any sense. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, architecture and software are going to unlock the innovation and the American ingenuity that has defined American exceptionalism within technology for the last, since technology was started. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. I want to get the AI data center and go back to Ed Pope, and then we'll get to your question. Maybe we can do this again because this has been very lively and fantastic. Yes. So first, with the AI data centers, when you hear something about property rights, that is an entire work around. This is an onslaught of lawfare, of bribes, of networks that are going to keep pushing this land use arbitrage. And so just to be talking about land, I'm out of time.
So these next few questions are rapid questions. All we need is a yes or no. We'll start.
You haven't seen the fraud because you're watching MSNBC and CNN. The fraud is there, and I will prove it, and I will put it on my website. I will prove it, and I will put it on my website. Unfortunately, a lot of the leadership within the Republican Party agrees with you guys because they are not passing it when they could simply, easily pass it. But there's a lot of Republicans in name only that are pushing a political theater, and I called it out. I said the Save America Act is not going to pass because this is set up to be political theater, and it has been political theater, and they have not passed it, just like I predicted back in February. I believe it's totalitarianism that's always been a threat and always at the door. And I do think that there are, within the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, there are bad actors that are pushing towards a ruling elite and a two-tier system of justice. And that is, everything else plays into that. That's the framework that we all need to understand. And we can solve some of these problems. I do agree with some of the things that my Democrat colleagues are saying here. And we have had some agreement. But when we have the totalitarian uniparty entrenched establishment that is not allowing us to have conversations. We don't need a blue wave now and then another red wave, and we've done this kabuki theater for a long period of time. We need a tidal wave to take out the corruption. Thank you. It's been a wild ride. It's been incredible that we rode the wave that started in 2024 to kick out the corruption in this district, and we continued it through 2026. And I'm happy to say that we repealed the Bevel Amendment that held Mosaic accountable to correct and collect the water and prevent them from damaging our environment. I'm also very happy that we signed single item bills, and now I told you it was going to work, and now it's amazing that everybody across America is looking at their congressmen and actually having them do appropriations. And look at what happened. We cut the debt. It's amazing. And the economy took off because the anti-trust laws that we enacted. Now the economy is taking off. And look at what happened within the Republican Party. We returned back to limited government, to free markets, to individual liberty, and we held each other accountable to make the party better, to make this country better. And I'm just so thankful for all of your support. And I got to talk to my wife while we're running it because this is a big fight, and I'm sick of all these people in DC.